Okay. So in today's class we will be discussing about the filter structures. So I told you that there are 4 steps in the realization. That's the implementation of any filter, whether they are IR or FIR filters. And the 4 steps are respectively the approximation, then the second step being realization, and the third step being the how the arithmetic errors affect the filter structure, and the final step being the implementation. So what we will do is we will discuss the realization part, because the realization part is the simplest step in the design of the filters. So in the previous class we had seen 2 structures for the design of FIR filters, which are respectively the direct form structure. So the direct form structure, which is also known as the tabbed delay line structure. So the direct form structure, also known as the tabbed delay line structure. So you have the tabbed delay line structure. It's also known as the transversal structure. So tabbed delay line structure or the transversal structure. It's also known as the all zero structure, and you can also maybe call it as the direct form structure for a FIR filter implementation. Direct form. And the transversed version you also call as the data broadcast structure. Data broadcast structure. So that those were the structures that we had seen for FIR filters. And now 3 more structures need to be discussed, which we'll do only at a later stage. And those 3 structures that we have to discuss further are respectively one being the lattice structure. So lattice structure, which finds great application in adaptive signal processing. We'll see what is adaptive signal processing later. So it finds application in adaptive signal processing. So we'll have a brief discussion about adaptive signal processing when we discuss about lattice filters. Adaptive signal processing. And the one other structure that you have to see are the frequency sampling structure. Frequency sampling structure. So we have to see these 2 structures. And in addition to that, once we discuss the concepts of linear phase, then we will also see how the direct form structures can be rearranged to simplify the computations for a linear phase structure. So we will also see structures for linear phase. So these structures we will discuss only at a later stage, because we need some discussions into linear phase, and we also need some discussions regarding lattice structures and frequency sampling structures. So the structures that we have seen till date are, one is the direct form structure. This is your direct form structure, and the second structure that we have discussed is the data broadcast structure. So in today's class, what we will do is we will discuss some simple IER filter structures. So we'll be discussing some very simple IER filter structures. Specifically, we will be looking at, so we will discuss IER filter structures with attention to 2 structures. So one IER filter structure that you are going to discuss is known as the direct form 1. So the first structure that you are going to see is the direct form 1 filter structure. So direct form 1 structure, and the second being, obviously it is going to be the direct form 2 structure. So we will see the direct form 1 structure and the direct form 2 structure. So these we will discuss today. So in the previous class, we had seen that any filter. So any filter can be represented by means of an equation. So for FIR filters, that equation is a non-recursive equation. So which means you can write for an FIR filter, y of n is a function of. So we will be looking only at causal filters in our case. Since we will be maybe looking at the domain as time, and so we will be only looking at causal filters. So the FIR filters can be represented as maybe as x of n, or maybe look at b0 x of n, or b0 is a constant, plus b1 x of n minus 1, plus b2 x of n minus 2, plus etc. up to a last term which we will call as bm x of n minus n. So which means the present output sample, which is at the given time instant n, depends on the present input sample and the past m input samples. So this is for an FIR filter. So this is for an FIR filter. So this is for an FIR filter. Whereas for an IAR filter, so if you only have this equation, this is an FIR filter. Whereas for an IAR filter, which is the general equation that we'll be writing, this will also include, so I will use a different color to represent the recursive part. So the IAR filter will also include terms of this one. So which is one is A1 x of y of n minus 1. So A1 y of n minus 1 is the previous output sample, plus A2 y of n minus 2, plus etc. up to, we write an y of n minus n. So for this IAR filter, which is general equation that we are going to write, the present output at the instant n depends not only on the input, present input sample and the past input sample up to the nth past input sample. It also depends on the previous output samples. So y of n minus 1, y of n minus 2, plus etc. to y of n minus n. So this also depends on the previous output samples. So which means there is a recursion. You have some sort of a feedback here because the output depends on the previous input sample, so previous output samples also. So there is definitely a feedback from the output side, so that the output can depend on the previous output samples as well. So this filter is a recursive filter. So you call this as a recursive filter. Recursive filter. Recursive filter. Now we'll take Z transform throughout, and then we'll try to represent this in the represent the transfer function, which we had discussed in the previous class itself. So which is a revision. So this will help in today's session. So you can take Z transform throughout and write y of Z. Okay, so so I should have put a negative sign. So what I will do is I will put a negative sign. I will put a bracket here, and put a negative sign here. So this I will put a negative sign here. So this is a negative sign. So minus. So the coefficients A1, A2, etc. are taken with a negative sign. So that's the only difference. So if I take Z transform throughout, so if I take these y terms to the left hand side and then take Z transform throughout, then I can write y of Z into 1 plus y of Z into 1 plus A1 Z raised to minus 1 plus A2 Z raised to minus 2 plus etc. up to an Z raised to minus n this can be written as x of z into b naught plus b1 z raised to minus 1 plus etc. up to bm z raised to minus n. Bm z raised to minus n. Or in other words, you can write y of z by x of z, which is our transfer function or our system function. So the transfer function or the system function h of z is equal to y of z by x of z, and therefore can be written as b0 plus b1 z raised to minus 1 plus etc. up to bm z raised to minus m divided by 1 plus a1 z raised to minus 1 plus a2 z raised to minus 2 plus etc. up to an z raised to minus n. Okay, where you normally have, where you have n as greater than m. So this is n greater than n. Why do you say n should be greater than m? Suppose if n is less than m, if n is less than m, for example, m could be a power of, m could be 10 and n could be 5. So the numerator polynomial will have a higher order and the denominator polynomial will have a lower order, which means that you can actually divide this numerator polynomial by the denominator polynomial and write it as a constant plus the remainder divided by the denominator polynomial. So the constant part will constitute an FIR filter and the rest will constitute an IER filter. So for the IER filter, you require that the order, that is the power of n, power of the z raised to minus 1 term in the denominator is greater than the power of z raised to minus 1 in the numerator. So that is required. So n should be greater than n. So we will see numerical examples, in which case it will become more clear. So we will just write h of z is equal to y of z by x of z, which is given by this equation. So which you can represent in a short form as a summation as sigma, let's say k equal to zero to m b0 z raised to minus k divided by 1 plus sigma k equal to 1 to n. So this should be bk. Bk is raised to minus, say 1 to n, so ak is raised to minus k. Okay. So in the previous class, when we had discussed the FIR filter structure, we had looked at the order of the filter. So what do you mean by the order of the filter? I will ask Meenakshi the question. What is the order of a filter?
Sir, it's the number of time delay elements that are required.
So if you have an FIR filter, so let us look at this part alone. So this will consider an FIR filter.
Okay.
So
yes, sir.
what is the order of the FIR filter? This is your FIR filter. What is the order of the FIR filter?
So m elements will mean m minus 1 will be the order.
You know, if here there are m plus 1 elements, right? So you're starting from b0 to bm. How many elements are there?
So
there are m plus 1 elements. So the order of the
m
filter
will be the order.
M will be the order of the filter. So what does the order of the filter indicate in practice? How can you relate that to the hardware for implementing the filter?
That will be the time delay elements that we need.
And each time delay element constitutes a memory location, right? So that also we had seen in the previous class. So each time delay location actually constitutes a memory element. So you have a memory element, so you can look at a memory element like this. So if you have, let's say, x of n here, And this is the top of the memory element. So maybe I can look at the previous sample x of n minus 1 stored here. And likewise x of n minus 2, etc., etc. Likewise it's stored here. So this is stored in several memory locations. So this is stored in several memory locations. So x of n minus 1, x of n minus 2, etc. to x of n minus 1. So how many memory locations are required to store this? This is x of n minus n. So how many memory locations are required to store this? So this should be the case. How many memory locations are required to store the previous m samples? You require m memory locations, right? 1 to n. So maybe you have an x of n here. So this is your x of n. And the previous samples are showed you. So each memory location, going through each memory location can be assumed to be a delay. And maybe you can multiply this by b0, this by b1, etc. up to this by bm, and then you can add all those. So this will constitute what is known as y of n for an FIR filter. So each previous sample requires a memory location to be stored. So therefore, you can also say that the order of a filter is the number of memory locations required to store required to implement the filter. The order of a filter is the number of memory locations required to implement the filter. Is that clear? So now let us look at the way in which we can implement this filter structure. So for which what we will do is we will look at this equation to implement the filter structure. So we'll just rub off the rest and let us look at a way in which this structure can be implemented. Okay, so anyhow, for this structure, you will be having x of n as an input, and this structure should give you y of n as your output. So let us look at a structure in which this can be implemented. So x of n is your input and y of n is your output. So the signal flow is in this direction. So x of n, and here you should be getting y of n. And you require the m previous samples of the input. So m previous samples of the input can be found out like this. Say for example, I take an z raised to minus 1. So I will just mark. So I will draw signal flow graphs instead of log diagrams. So z raised to minus 1. So what you will be getting here is x of n minus 1. Then again, I will take another z raised to minus 1. So this will be x of n minus 2. And likewise, I will take m such delay elements. And finally, I will be getting, this is z raised to minus 1. And finally, I will be getting, so this is x of n minus 1. This is x of n minus 2. And this is x of n minus n. So I will draw the direction of signal flow like this. X of n minus n. So this is x of n minus 1. This is x of n minus 2. And this is x of n minus n. And x of n has to be multiplied by b0. So here I will multiply this by b0. This has to be multiplied by b1. This has to be multiplied by b2. And likewise, this has to be multiplied by bm. And this is added together here. So I'm going to draw signal flow graphs instead of log diagrams. So this is a summing node. So each of these are summing points. So what do you have? What have you implemented here? This is x of n. This is x of n minus 1, x of n minus 2, x of n minus 3, etc. X of n minus n. And here, each of these are multiplied by the respective coefficients b0, b1, b2, etc. up to bn. So what you have here is, therefore, b0 into x of n plus b1 into x of n minus 1 plus b2 into x of n minus 2 plus etc. up to bm into x of n minus 1. Now, can you please tell me what is the structure that you have implemented here? What do you call this structure that you have implemented here? You have a name for this structure. You have a name for this structure. In the previous class, you would have drawn it as a horizontal structure. That would have been totally different. Z raised to minus 1. So this is Z raised to minus 1. Then again you have Z raised to minus 1. You have another Z raised to minus 1. So you have a chain of delays. So what do you call this? What do you call this? You have a chain of delay elements. So what do you call this? Lakshmi? What is the name for this structure? You call it as a
database.
No, you call it as a delay chain. Since you have a chain of delay elements, you call it as a delay chain or a delay line. And you have seen that for the transversal delay line, or for the tabbed delay line, you take tabs from the delay line, right? So you take tabs from the delay line and you sum of these. So in fact, whatever you have implemented is your FIR filter part. This is your FIR filter part, right?
Yes.
This is your FIR filter. Whatever you have implemented is your FIR filter part. Now what remains is to implement the other section, that is the recursive part. For the recursive part, you will require y of n minus 1, y of n minus 2, etc. So what we'll draw that here. So I will draw that using a different curve. So here I have an z raised to minus 1. So you have y of n minus 1 here. You have another z raised to minus 1. You have another, you have y of n minus 2 here. Likewise, maybe you can go up to. So for this illustration purpose, I take n is equal to m. So I will write this as another z raised to minus 1. So here, this will be multiplied by, what will be this multiplied by? Minus a1, right? Because this has to multiply by minus a1. So minus a1, and this to be multiplied by minus a2, and this is to be multiplied by minus an. To illustrate this, I have taken n to be equal to n. So you are saying that n has to be greater than n. That is when you call this as the order of the filter. Okay, so then you have to add all these up. So this is y of n minus a1 into y of n minus 1. So here you get, if you consider only this part, this is y of n minus a1 into y of n minus 1 minus a2 into y of n minus 2 plus etc. up to minus an into y of n minus n. Is that clear? So this is how we have implemented the structure. This is how we have implemented the structure. So let us see whether this structure satisfies the above given equation. So here you have x of n and here you have y of n. So x of n, b0 into x of n plus b1 into x of n minus 1 plus b2 x of n minus 2 plus etc. up to bm x of n minus 1. Okay, so this implements the numerator part of the transfer function. And here you have y of n, so this should be y of n minus n. So minus a1 into y of n minus 1 minus a2 into y of n minus 2 plus etc. up to minus an into y of n minus n. So if you add these two together, you should get y of n. So let us look at the transfer function that we have implemented. So the transfer function that we have implemented is h of z is equal to, So it's a different color. So the transfer function that we have implemented is h of z is equal to sigma k equal to 0 to m bk z raised to minus k by 1 plus sigma k equal to 1 to n ak z raised to minus k, right? So which I rewrite in this form. This you can write. So I will write this as sigma k equal to 0 to m bk z raised to minus k into 1 by sigma 1 plus 1 by 1 plus sigma k equal to 1 to n ak z raised to minus k. Let me call this as h1 of z and this second term as h2 of z. So this is h1 of z into h2 of z, right? So this is h1 of z into h2 of z. And you see that whatever we have drawn using the whatever we have drawn using the blue color, so using the blue color here, that is what we have here, constitutes h1 of z, right? And whatever we have drawn using the green color constitutes h2 of z. So I can interpret this in a number of ways. This part implements the zeros of your filter. Is it understood? Because if you factorize the numerator, you will get the zeros. So this is the implementation of the numerator or the zeros. This looks at the zeros of the filter. And here you are implementing the denominator, and therefore this implements the what? Poles of the filter. This implements the poles of the filter because the roots of the denominator correspond to the poles of the filter. Okay, so we'll just rub off whatever we have here. So this is no longer relevant, so we'll just rub this out. So you only require whatever is written now. So this is h of z, which you can write as h of z is h1 of z into h2 of z. Okay. Now, Abhishek, can you please tell me how many memory locations? So for this example, you have taken n to be equal to m.
Yes, sir.
You have taken n to be equal to m. And in general, you know that for an IR filter, you require n to be greater than m. But for illustration purpose, we are taking this to be n equal to m. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Abhishek, now you can tell me how many memory locations are required to implement this structure? How many memory locations are required to implement this structure? Because you have taken n equal to m. Tell me how many locations are required?
Mn, like set mn.
No, see, you have to store x of n. You have to store x of n minus 1, x of n minus 2, etc. up to x of n minus m. Likewise, you have to store y of n minus 1, y of n minus 2, etc. y of n minus n. And you have taken n equal to m. So which means how many locations will you require to store all the previous samples of y of n?
So m plus
n locations. Yeah, n locations. So total you require n plus n locations. So here you require n locations, and here also you require m locations. So you can say you require n plus m locations, right?
Yes.
So since for this example you have taken n equal to m, so you can say you require 2 n locations or 2 m locations. So in general, when n and m are different, so in general when n is, so this is the correct case. When n is greater than m, you require n plus n locations, right? You require n plus n locations. Now, observe that you have h of z is equal to h1 z into h2 of z, right? So h of z is equal to H1Z into H2 of Z. So H of Z is equal to H1Z into H2Z. So therefore I can write it in the reverse as well. So I'll change the order of multiplication because multiplication is a commutative operator, and write this as equal to H2 of Z into H1 of Z. This is understood? I can write this as H2 of Z into H1 of Z. So let us look at implementing H2 of Z first and H1 of Z next. So the structure that we have seen now, just now, is called as the direct form 1 structure. So this is what we have seen now. It requires n plus m memory locations for its implementation. N plus m memory locations for its implementation. Now you have seen that the structure can be written as H of Z is equal to H1Z into H2Z, where H1Z implements the zeros, H2Z implements the poles, or in other words, H1Z implements the numerator, H2Z implements the denominator, and so therefore you can reverse the order of multiplication, as multiplication is a commutative operator, which means what we will be doing is we will take H2 of Z first and then we will do H1 of Z. So I will just do a rearrangement of this now like this. So that rearrangement I will do it like this now. I'll put it somewhere here because I will need it later. And I'll take this and implement this first. So this will be implemented first. Okay. And then now we'll implement this part next. This is understood? See, I have just interchanged the order of implementing the numerator and the denominator. So here what we will do is we will implement the denominator first and then the numerator. So here you are implementing the denominator first and then the numerator. Is this understood? Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have just interchanged the order of implementation of the structure. So I'll bring this closer, and so there is a reason why we are going to bring this closer. So I'll take this and put it very close to the structure. So I'll take it closer. So this is a structure that we have now. See how many delay chains you have in this structure. You have a delay chain here. So this is Z raised to minus 1, and you have a delay chain here, Z raised to minus 1. So in a circuit, you know that these two correspond to the same point because the same current is flowing through this line. So if you have a signal, then the same current, if X of n is a voltage and if Y of n is the output voltage, then the same current will be flowing through this line. So in effect, these two are the same points. Is it understood? So you might as well combine the delay chains here. So Z raised to minus 1 is appearing here, and you have an Z raised to minus 1 appearing here. So maybe this Z raised to minus 1 can be taken as common to both the sides. Is it understood? So what I will do is I will just take this again closer. Now I will just rub this all these Z raised to minus 1s. So we'll take we'll take this further closer, and then we'll see what we have done is this. Is it understood? So now we have used the same structure. So this I will draw as a red line now. So now you have your z raised to minus 1s. So this is z raised to minus 1. This is again z raised to minus 1, etc. up to z raised to minus 1. To illustrate, we have taken n is equal to m. So therefore, how many memory locations are required now? Can you tell me how many memory locations are required now? See, what we had done previously was, so we'll just we had this delay line, and you had a delay line here. So since the signal is flowing in this direction, and since the current through this line is the same, we see that these two constitute the same points. These two constitute the same points, and you see that an z raised to minus 1 is branching out from here, and an z raised to minus 1 is branching out from here. And from here, you have a minus a1 multiplying this output, and from here you have a b1 multiplying this output. So you might as well use a single z raised to minus 1 instead of these two z raised to minus 1s. Likewise, instead of these two delay chains, I can use a single delay chain. So that is shown here. Now, is this understood? Is this understood? So I'd like a
Yes, sir.
feedback
Yes,
from
it's
you.
understood.
Okay. Okay. So how many memory locations are required now? How many
Sir,
memory
n.
locations are required now?
Just
You
n.
require just n memory locations. So you require just n memory locations. So number of memory locations required is just n. Number of memory locations is just n. What is n? Where n is the power of z raised to minus 1 in the denominator. And you have taken, you see that in general you require n to be greater than n. And we, let us say we fix an upper value for m as equal to n. So in this example, you have taken m to be equal to n. So here you require only n memory locations, whereas for the previous example, you required how many locations? N plus m locations. Here you require only n locations, right? And this structure, what you have seen now, is called as the direct form 2 structure. This is known as the direct form 2 structure. So obviously you see that the direct form 2 structure requires only much lesser number of memory locations. For example, if n was taken equal to m, for the direct form 1 structure you require 2 n locations, and for the direct form 2 structure you require n locations. Okay, so you see that the direct form 2 structure is much optimal when compared to the direct form 1 structure in terms of the number of memory locations that are used. And you call the structure which requires the minimum number of memory locations as the canonical structure. Canonical structure. So canonical structure. So a canonical structure is a digital filter structure that requires minimum number of memory locations. Canonical structures require minimum number of memory locations. Minimum number of memory locations. So this is important. So is direct form 1 a canonical structure? So let me ask that question to Roshan. Roshan, is direct form 1 canonical?
No, sir.
Okay. What about direct form 2?
Yes, it is canonical
Yes.
because it requires only
Requires
half
minimum number of
the
memory
number.
locations.
Yeah.
Right. So this requires minimum number of memory locations. Where have we heard this word canonical?
Certain logical circuit designs.
Right. So in what context did you hear this word canonical?
When we simplify a Boolean
Right.
expression to
When
the
you simplify a Boolean expression to a simplified sum of product or a simplified product of sum, and if you cannot simplify it further, you call it as a canonical structure. When you cannot simplify the Boolean expression further, you call it as a canonical structure. So which means if you solve a Carnot map correctly, then you end up with what is known as a canonical structure. So least number of gates are required to implement the canonical structure. So likewise, you say least number of memory locations are required to implement a canonical structure. So direct form 1 is not canonical, whereas direct form 2 is a canonical structure. So let us do some examples. You can take on this question. So this give an example. So I will ask you to do this by yourself. So let us look at a filter. H of Z is equal to 8Z cube minus 4Z squared plus 11Z minus 2 divided by Z minus 1 by 4 into Z squared minus Z plus 1 by 2. So this is your H of Z. Now you are asked to implement this filter in direct form 1. So in direct form 1 and direct form 2 structures. Direct form 1 and direct form 2 structures. How will you implement this in direct form 1 and direct form 2? Now, first of all, is this in a form that is familiar to you? Is this of the form that we have been discussing so far? Is this of the form that we have been discussing so far, which the form should have been B0 plus B1 Z raised to minus 1 plus etc. up to Bm Z raised to minus M divided by 1 plus A1 Z raised to minus 1 plus etc. up to AM Z raised to minus N. This is a structure that we are familiar with. This is the IER filter structure that we are trying to implement. So H of Z is your IER filter structure that we are trying to implement. Now, is this structure in the same form as this? Let me ask this question to Arvind. Arvind Parat? Okay. Arvind? Okay, so what is the difference? What is the difference, Arvind?
It is not in the powers of Z raised to minus 1.
Right, so exactly, so what you should do, should be?
Make it into the powers
In the
of
power of Z raised to minus. So for that, what should you do?
Multiply by Z raised to minus 4.
Why do you need to multiply this by z raised to minus 4? Because you see that this can be constant, b0. So you only need to multiply this by z raised to minus 3, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So multiply numerator and denominator by z raised to minus 3. So if you even if you multiply by z raised to minus 4, you are going to get the same result. Because you can finally you can cancel out one more z raised to minus 1 from all the terms. So multiply by z raised to minus 3. What did you get? Multiply by z raised to minus 3. So if you multiply by z raised to minus 3, so that would be, we multiply by z raised to minus 3. This would be 8 minus 4 z raised to minus 1 plus 11 z raised to minus 2 minus 2 z raised to minus 3 by, so you have to multiply this by z raised to minus 3. So what I will do is I will take an z raised to minus 1, multiply this by z raised to minus 1 and multiply this by z raised to minus 2. Is that okay with you? So I have to multiply numerator and denominator by z raised to minus 3, right? So here I will multiply z raised to minus 1 into, so this is z raised to minus 1 into z minus 1 by 4. So I can simplify the calculation like this. Into z raised to minus 2 into z squared minus z plus 1 by 2. So there is no need to multiply this row. Okay, so do you understand this? So this you can write as 1 minus 1 by 4 z raised to minus 1 into, so this time would be 1 minus 1 by 4 z raised to minus 1, and this would be, what would be the second term? What is the second term? Into 1 minus z raised to minus 1 plus 1 by 2 z raised to minus 1. Now you can multiply this row. Because you need a polynomial in z raised to minus 1 here. So this I can multiply throughout. And then I can multiply this throughout because I need the numerator also to be a polynomial in z raised to minus 1. So I need this to be a polynomial in z raised to minus 1. So if you multiply this out, I will get the equation as I will get in the denominator as 1 minus 5 by 4. This is 5 by 4. 1 minus 5 by 4 z raised to minus 1 plus 3 by 4 z raised to minus 2 minus 1 by 8 z raised to minus 3. So I'll just write this out. So this would be so here you have 1 minus 5 by 4 z raised to minus 1. So this would be 5 by 4 z raised to minus 1 plus 3 by 4 z raised to minus 2 minus 1 by 8 z raised to minus 3 minus 1 by 8 z raised to minus 3. Now, how many memory locations are required to implement this in direct form 1? How many memory locations are required to implement this in direct form 1? Arjun Vishwanath,
Sir.
How many memory locations are required to implement this in direct form 1?
6.
6 memory locations. Is that canonical? Is that a canonical structure?
No.
No. How many memory locations are required to implement direct form 2 in direct form 2?
3.
3 memory locations. Is that canonical?
Yes, sir.
That is a canonical structure, right? So now let us implement this structure. So there is a very easy method. If you can write it in this form, if this transfer function is completely written out like this, then there is a very simple method to implement. So that can be done very easily. So you don't require to write everything out. So if this is implemented, if this is written as a canonical form, written out like this as a ratio of polynomials in z raised to -1, then you can write down, you can draw the structure like this. It's fairly straightforward. So here you have x of n. And here you have y of n. So let us implement the poles first. So this has to be multiplied by 8. This has to be multiplied by, what is this? What should be this value? Arjun? What will be this value? -4. -4, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then this z raised to -1 to be multiplied by what?
11.
11. And finally, this is to be multiplied by
-2.
-2, right? -2. And then we add this all up. So here we get the implementation of the numerator. So we have implemented the poles now. Likewise, let us implement the denominator. So here you have to be careful. Now this is z raised to -1. What should this be multiplied by? What should this be multiplied by? Arjun, you can continue.
Sir, 5/4.
This should be multiplied by plus 5/4. So here you see that it's -5/4. This should be multiplied by plus 5/4. That is when you write this as equal to a y of z by x of z, where y of z is a polynomial in z raised to -1, x of z is a polynomial in z raised to -1. Then you have to invert the signs here. So this is -5/4. This is plus 5/4. What should be this value?
-3/4.
-3/4. And what will be the last value?
1/8.
Plus 1/8. Okay. So this is your direct form 1 structure, right? This is your direct form 1 structure. Now, how will you implement the direct form 2 structure? To implement the direct form 2 structure, you just need to take this part ahead of the implementation of the zeros. So sorry. And this value is equal to 8. And finally, you have to bring it so close to each other so that you can combine these two. So that community analysis. Okay. So is this understood? Okay. So do you have to draw a better figure? I hope this is understood. So how many memory locations are required to implement in direct form 2? You see that you require only 3 memory locations, right? Is this understood? And
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
the feedback. Okay. Okay. Right. Right. So we'll do one more question. A linear time varying system. So you can take down this question. A linear time varying system is described by the following input-output relationship. So I'm not going to give this in terms of an HFZ. Instead, we will directly give in terms of the time domain equations as like this. So the equation is 2y of n minus y of n minus 2 minus 4y of n minus 3 is equal to 3x of n minus 2. So you are given this directly as a time domain equation. So realize the system in direct form 1, in direct form 2. Okay, so we will do that first. We will realize the system in direct form 1 and direct form 2. So you see that you have there is only one term in the numerator. So there is only the x of n minus 2 term here, which means that it does not depend on x of n or x of n minus 1. It depends only on x of n minus 2. The output depends only on x of n minus 2. The output does not depend on the present input and the immediate past input. So the output depends on the input sample that had appeared 2 time samples before the present sample, and the output samples y of n minus 2 and the output sample y of n minus 3. So you have to implement this now. So let us see how this can be implemented. So since you are given a time domain equation directly, so the time domain equation can be implemented like this. So here we have an x of n. It's divided by 2 samples. So you have an z raised to minus 1, and here we have an z raised to minus 1. So here we have x of n minus 2. So this is multiplied by what? 3 here. But here now you see that there is a difference here. So this equation has to be remodeled. Now can you compare with this? Compare this equation with the previous equation that we had seen. What was the equation that we had seen previously? The equations, all the equations in the time domain that we had seen previously had an expression for the output y of n in terms of the input and the previous output samples, in terms of the input and the previous input samples and the previous output samples. So which means I have to write this as 3 by 2 x of n minus 2. So you need an expression for the output. So y of n should be equal to 3 by 2 x of n minus 2. What? Plus 1 by 2 y of n minus 2 plus 2y of n minus 3. This is understood? So you should have an equation in this form, because now here you had 2y of n. So therefore you have to divide the entire equation by 2. So y of n minus 1 by 2 y of n minus 2 minus 2 y of n minus 3 is equal to 3 by 2 x of n minus 2. So this is what we have written here. So this is the equation that we are trying to implement, and now the previous one. So you have to write an expression for y of n minus, so you have to write an expression for y of n, like this here. So you have to write an expression for y of n. So x of n is delayed by 2 samples, and here you have to multiply this by what? What is this element? What should be this? This should be multiplied by what? What is the value here? 3 by 2, right? So what you have here is, this is 3 by 2 x of n minus 2. You implemented the numerator part. And now somewhere here you will be having an output y of n. And here you take an z raised to minus 1. Multiply this by 1 by 2. And you have an z raised to minus 1. Sorry, the first one is not needed. Actually, you require only y of n minus 2. So this is z raised to minus 1. So this is y of n minus 1. Here you have y of n minus 2. Is to be multiplied by 1 by 2. And then you require another z raised to minus 1. Should be multiplied by 2. If you add this, what we'll be having here is, if you look only at this part, what we'll be having is y of n plus 1 by 2 y of n minus 2 plus 2 y of n minus 3. So this is your direct form 1 implementation. This is your direct form 1 implementation. This is understood? Let me get a feedback. Is this understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, how will you implement this in direct form 2? How will you implement this in direct form 2? So you have to take this denominator part and implement this first. And we will look at this numerator part, which we will implement second. So we'll take this here. And then we will put this here. So here you have x of n. This is x of n. And this is y of n. And now you need to combine these two delay chains. So which you can do by bringing this close to each other. So is it understood? So this is your direct form 2 structure. So how many memory locations are required to implement this filter? How many memory locations are required to implement this filter? Meenakshi?
Sir, I'm actually having a doubt. So, in case of those powers that have coefficient 0, do we need a memory location for them?
Actually, you do require a memory location. Otherwise, you will not be able to get the immediate previous sample. It is just that you don't use it to multiply any coefficient. So you can think of this as a shift register. See, you can think of this as a parallel input, parallel output shift register. So you have some input coming in. So every clock, this input is going through the next immediate locations in the parallel input, parallel output shift register. So this is a parallel input, parallel output shift register. So you can assume that initially you had x of 0 here. In the next input sample, this will be x of 0, and here you will have x of 1. Okay. In the next clock, you will have x of 0 here. This will be x of 1, and you will have x of 2 appearing here. In the next clock, this will be x of 0. This will be x of 1. This will be x of 2, and here you will have x of 3. Is it understood? So you can assume that all your input samples are going through this queue. You have a parallel input, parallel output shift register, and this is going through a queue. It's going through a queue. Is that understood? Your present dimension. Okay. Your present dimension will be here, and the previous dimension input sample will be appearing in this memory location. And in the next clock, this will be pushed downward, and you will have this value here. And in the next clock, it will still be pushed downwards, and you will have this value here. So if you require x of 0 will be available only here. And if you require x of 2, that is available only here. So even if you do not have any use for x of 1 at the present dimension, in the next dimension you will require x of 1, because that will be coming here. Is that understood? It's always being pushed downwards. Say, for example, let me write the expression for y of 0. What will be y of 0? Meenakshi, from this equation, what will be y of 0?
Y of 0, 3 by 2, x of minus 2.
You can assume that the system is causal. So system is causal.
Oh yeah, so that
so
won't
you don't
be
have
there.
any samples.
Any values.
So you don't have anything there. So y of 3, y of 0 is therefore equal to 0. You don't have anything there. Let me write the expression for y of 1, assuming that the system is causal. What will be y of 1?
Now also there won't be any.
There is also no sample here. What will be y of 2? Now you have to start writing.
3 by 2 x of 0.
Y of 2 would be 3 by 2 into x of 0 plus 1 by 2 into y of 0. So you require y of 0 now. Y of 0
yes,
is equal to 0. Plus what is next value? Plus 0.
The next value is not there. 0.
So what is y of 3? What is y
3
of
by
3?
x of 1.
3 by 2 x of 1 plus 1 by 2 y of what?
Y of 1.
Y of 1
1
plus 2 y of 0. So you require all the values now. What is y of 4? That would be 3 by 2 x of 2 plus 1 by 2 y of 2 plus 2 y of 1. You will require all the values.
Yes, sir.
Now, how many memory locations are required to implement this? Because you require up to the third previous output sample, right?
Okay.
Okay. So how many memory locations are required? Therefore, you require 3 memory locations.
3 memory locations.
Is that clear? So you require 3 memory locations. Now you can also tell me, what do you mean by the order of a filter? What do you mean by the order of a filter? that we have defined in the previous class. What is the order of a filter? What is the meaning of saying that the order of a filter is equal to n?
Memory locations.
The order of a filter is therefore the number of memory locations of a filter. So let me write an equation here. Y of n, or I'll just write a transfer function. I'll write in terms of a transfer function first. So let me write h of z is equal to, for example, 8 plus 6z raised to minus 1 plus 5z raised to minus 4. I purposefully excluded z raised to minus 2, z raised to minus 3. What is the order of this filter? Order of this filter. What is the order of the filter? It's the number of memory locations required to implement the filter, right? So what is the order of this filter? Roshan?
Yes, sir.
What is the order of this filter? How many memory locations are required to implement this filter?
4 memory
4
locations.
memory locations. You require 4 memory locations. So order of the filter is therefore very simply for an FIR filter, it is the highest power of z raised to minus 1 in the polynomial. For an FIR filter, the order of a filter is the highest power of z raised to minus 1 in the polynomial. There is only a polynomial. There is only a polynomial, and it is the order of the highest power of z raised to minus in the polynomial. Now let me write a filter as h of z is equal to 6 plus 8 z raised to minus 1 plus 5 z raised to minus 2 divided by 1 plus, so this FIR filter will always be of this form, 1 plus, so you will have this 1 here. Definitely you will be having this 1 here, 1 plus 3 z raised to minus 5 plus 10 z raised to minus 8. What is the order of this filter? Now, Meenakshi, you can tell me what is the order of this filter.
Order of the filter.
Is the number of memory locations required to implement this filter. So, how many memory locations are required to implement? Minimum number of memory locations to implement the filter. Order of the filter is the minimum number of
minus 8.
8. So, minimum number of memory locations is 8. So, what is there for order of an IER filter? It is the highest power of z raised to minus 1 in the denominator polynomial. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
It is the highest power of z raised to minus 1 in the denominator polynomial. So you had also mentioned earlier that, so I will wind up my class with a very simple example. So let us think of a filter of this form. H of z is equal to 1 minus z raised to minus 2 by 1 plus z raised to minus 1 into 1 minus 3 z raised to minus 1. Okay. So what is the order of the numerator? What is the highest power of z raised to minus in the numerator? What is the highest power of z raised to minus in the numerator? It's 2, right? What is the highest power of z raised to minus in the denominator?
2.
That's also equal to 2. So n is equal to 2. And here you see that m is equal to 2. But you can see that you can actually divide the numerator into by the denominator and write this as 1 plus z raised to minus 1 into 1 minus z raised to minus 1. This is a plus b into a minus b is a squared minus b squared, right? Divided by 1 plus z raised to minus 1 into 1 minus 3 z raised to minus 1. Is that understood? So we can cancel this out and write this as 1 minus z raised to minus 1 by 1 minus 3 z raised to minus 1. Is this clear? Which again you can write as this. You can write as 1 plus 2 z raised to minus 1 by 1 minus 3 z raised to minus 1. Is it clear? Is this understood? This is 1 minus 3 z raised to minus 1 plus 2 z raised to minus 1 by 1 minus 3 z raised to 1, which simplifies to this expression. So this you can write as 1 plus 2 z raised to minus 1 by 1 minus 3 z raised to minus 1. If you have a transfer function like this, how will you implement this? How will you implement this transfer function? How will you implement the transfer function? So it's implemented as a parallel form, in a parallel form. So you have an x of n and y of n will be a summation of x of n. So this we can call as h1 of z, which is equal to 1. And this as h2 of z, which is this. We can implement this in the direct form 1 or the direct form 2. So it doesn't make any difference. We can implement it in direct form 1 or direct form 2. Let me think that it is being implemented in direct form 2. So this will mean you will have a delay element. So this is z raised to minus 1. And this should be multiplied by plus 3. And here this should be multiplied by 2. And this is summed up here. This is y of n. So y of n is 1 plus, so this is 1. Plus, what about this structure? This is implemented in direct form 2. This is 2 z raised to minus 1 by 1 minus 3 z raised to minus 1. This is clear? So this is not a filter at all. So this you are directly taking input to the output, and then you are adding a filtered section to the input. So here this constitutes an IER filter. This constitutes an IER filter. This part is an IER filter, whereas this IER filter output is added to the input here. So that is why in general you say that the power of the denominator has to be greater than the power of the numerator. Okay, power of the denominator has to be greater than the power of the numerator. So in general you can say that if you have m to be greater than n, in general, if you have m as greater than n or greater than or equal to n, then you can write the filter in general as a combination of an FIR filter and a combination of an FIR filter and an IER filter. So in general, you can write this as a summation of an FIR filter and an IER filter. So what you will have here is a FIR filter, and what you will be having here in the second part, you will be having an IER filter. Is this understood? So we will discuss that in greater detail in next class when we work out a few questions. So here you will have an IER filter. So this will be an IER. That is when M is greater than or equal to N. Now, to conclude today's class, I'll ask you this question. We'll revise this by looking at what is the order of the filter. What is the order of a filter? Abhishek, what is the order of a filter?
Sir, it's the number of memory locations.
Required to implement a filter. Minimum, so you have to redefine it as the minimum number of memory locations required to implement a filter. Rohan, are you there in the class today? Tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the order of an FIR filter? You are given an FIR filter. How do you find out the order of the FIR filter?
The order will be the number of memory locations that required to implement it.
From the polynomial. So if you are given a polynomial z raised to minus 1, how will you find out the order of the filter?
From negative power of z.
That is the highest power of z raised to minus 1. Highest power of z raised to minus 1. What is therefore the order of an IER filter? It is just the highest power of z raised to minus 1 in the denominator polynomial. Now, is out of direct form 1 and direct form 2 structures, which is the canonical form?
Direct form 2.
Direct form 2. Okay, so we will stop with this for today. We can maybe log out now. I'll need, I think, about 2 more sessions to complete my discussions on IER filter structures. There also I will leave out a certain section to be discussed towards the end. So we'll take 2 more sessions to discuss the IER filter structures. We'll work out a few questions. You'll have to brush up your skills on partial factorization. When you see the parallel and the cascade form of IER filters. So when you see the parallel form of the IER filters, you have to brush up on your partial factorization skills, which is something that you had discussed in the previous semester when you saw inverse Z transform. So you'll have to look through all those theory that we had discussed when we had seen the inverse Z transforms using partial fractions. Okay, so we'll stop this for today. You can log out now.